Right now, protests once again in Kenosha, the latest after district attorney's decision not to press charges against the officer who shot Jacob Blake.
Plus, going back to school, a request from parents to the Madison school district.
And once again, freezing fog this morning across southern Wisconsin. Coming up, I'll tell you when we could see the sunshine next.
This is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, everybody. We hope your Wednesday is starting off well. I'm Leah Lynchide.
I'm Chris Stanford. Thanks for joining us. Though police and National Guard were on standby in case protests turned violent last night, it was peaceful in Kenosha following the district attorney's decision not to charge Officer Rustin Shesky. Now, police closed roads downtown, and they did have a heightened police presence, but again, things stayed peaceful. Same here in Madison. A group in support of Jacob Blake marched through the streets, stopping for a bit near the public safety building and courthouse in Kenosha. Blake's family called on protesters to keep things nonviolent.
We, the Blake family, are asking this city, this county, this state, and this nation to rise up in a nonviolent civic uprising.
Protesters called it a night at about 9:30.
Now, these protests come, of course, after the decision not to charge the Kenosha officer who shot Jacob Blake back in August. Cell phone video captured Officer Shesky shooting Blake 7 times outside a vehicle following a domestic dispute. The Kenosha County prosecutor says Shesky acted in self-defense because Blake was armed with a knife and was resisting arrest.
No Kenosha law enforcement officer in this case will be charged with any criminal offense based on the facts and the laws. No charge will be filed against Jacob Blake in regards to this incident as well.
The press conference announcing the decision lasted 2 hours. The Kenosha County DA said the case deserved a detailed and complex discussion.
Former Madison Police Chief Noble Ray was brought in as an extra set of eyes for this investigation and provided an analysis of the findings to the DA. Ray says he wanted to help provide perspective to the situation.
So all of this has taken place in 1 minute and 5 seconds. That's how rapidly evolving the situation was. So I just wanted to give that overview because I think a lot of that was missed.
Ray says he initially found the video troubling to watch, but after review believes officers did attempt to defuse the situation before using force.
I'm Josh Ryder, tracking new reactions coming in after the DA's decision. Kenosha's mayor put out a statement acknowledging the strong feelings some may experiencing this morning. As for protesting, he says, quote, "We respect your right to peaceful protest and will protect peaceful demonstrations, but we cannot tolerate the violence we saw in our community last year." Governor Evers clearly unhappy with the decision. In a statement on Twitter, he wrote in part, quote, "Today's decision is further evidence that our work is not done. We must work each day in earnest toward a more just, more fair, and more equitable state and country, and to combat the racism experienced by Black Wisconsinites."
While no criminal charges will be filed in the case, the United States Attorney's Office says the civil rights investigation into the shooting is still ongoing. The civil rights investigation was launched August 26, 3 days after Blake was shot. The U.S. Attorney's Office did not indicate when a possible charging decision in that civil rights case could be made, though. For the latest developments on this case, be sure to stay with News 3 Now on air and online at channel3000.com. Also, be sure to download our free Channel 3000 news app to get that information on the go.
To our coronavirus headlines this morning, more than 5,000 Wisconsinites have now died from the virus. The DHS reported 106 new deaths in the last day. There were also about 3,500 newly confirmed cases. The DHS also says more than 85,000 Wisconsinites have received a vaccine so far. That is just about a third of the almost 267,000 doses that have been shipped across the state.
With cases where they are, is it safe for kids to return to school building? That's a big question right now facing a lot of folks. The Madison schools community is working on a plan right now for the rest of the school year, which they'll announce later this week.
Getting kids, teachers, and support staff back inside school buildings is something people on both sides feel really strongly about. Taylor Lazenby has been looking into this. She's live with more. Good morning, Taylor.
Hi guys, good morning. That's right. This Friday, Madison School Superintendent Carlton Jenkins will make a decision on whether or not Madison will begin some form of in-person learning for at least some students in that third quarter, which starts on January 25th. Now, the school board could make that decision and might vote on the issue if the board disagrees with what Jenkins recommends. Grassroots parent groups Bring Kids Back share that just last month, public health research suggested schools are not the sources of community spread of the virus. Now, since then, public health issued new recommendations saying it was safe for schools to reopen with the necessary safeguards and under a phased approach that would send younger students back into the classrooms first.
We are the parents. We are the taxpayers. We should be involved in this. I mean, obviously what we're hoping for is our kids to be back in full time, and we want to see the path to that. And we want to see that path before next fall. This is way too long for these kids to be out of school. You know, we've been patient. We're not patient anymore.
Although a lot of Madison teachers feel differently, in a study conducted by the Teachers Union, it shows about 94% of approximately over 1,000 teachers who responded opposed for returning for in-person classes in that third quarter. And the Bring Kids Back movement says their next plan of action is to speak directly to the Dane County Health Department.
All right, Taylor Lazenby, thanks. Now let's take a look at the Madison-Dane County Public Health Guidelines to reopen schools. To open schools for students in kindergarten through grade 2, Dane County should see a 14-day average of 54 cases or fewer than that sustained for 4 consecutive weeks. For grades 3 through 5, it's 39 cases. For 6 through 12, it's 19 cases. Madison school leaders say these thresholds are recommendations, not mandates. The latest daily average from the City County Health Department, though, is 138 cases, well above any of these thresholds. 13% of those positive tests were school-aged children.
Sun Prairie High School seniors now able to apply for a new full tuition scholarship available from Beloit College. It covers 100% of tuition expenses for 4 years. It's going to be awarded to one student who applies every year. The scholarship made possible by Legacy.com CEO and founder Stouffer Bartle and his wife. 6:06 now. Let's turn it over to Hattie McLean and our first warn weather. Hey, Hads.
Good morning, Leah. We're still talking about fog this morning. It's a bit more widespread than it was yesterday. Our dense fog advisory is in effect for the entire area this morning until 9 o'clock. You can see all the counties shaded in there, even the surrounding areas in Iowa and Illinois under a dense fog advisory this morning. Here's a look at current visibilities. We've seen improvement in a few spots, but not a lot. Visibility still around 0 in the Dells and Juneau. Quarter-mile visibility in Monroe. 3/4 of a mile visibility in Mineral Point and Lone Rock. Madison hovers around 2 miles at the airport. That may not be the case, though, on the west side of town. Temperatures this morning are in the teens in most spots, so it definitely could be freezing fog across parts of southern Wisconsin. Be aware of that. Any untreated surfaces could become slick this morning. Our future track forecast model shows you clouds staying in place today. The fog is going to be slow to lift this morning. Temperatures will be getting back into the mid-20s by lunchtime today, climbing to highs in the upper 20s this afternoon. Not as much sunshine, though, definitely, as we saw yesterday. So hope you had a chance to enjoy that sunshine yesterday. Here's a look at what we have as far as across the region. There really is nothing happening precipitation-wise here in southern Wisconsin. There is a storm system tracking to our south and west. You can see the precipitation on the map, but sliding across Iowa rather than Wisconsin. So our forecast is going to stay dry today. Here's a look at our details of that forecast heading into the weekend. No major changes have been made. We're still going to deal with lots of cloud cover. Temperatures will top in the upper 20s, which is pretty seasonable for this time of the year. Could be a lot colder, so actually a good chance to get outside. We have quite a bit of snow on the ground here in southern Wisconsin. In fact, many areas still have over 6 inches of snow on the ground. So those winter sports looking pretty good for this weekend. Here's that extended forecast. It just stays quiet and cool into next week. Our next chance for precipitation is going to come late next week.
All right, Hattie, thank you. Breaking overnight, one of the 2 Senate runoff elections in Georgia has been called. CBS News projects Democrat Raphael Warnock wins, beating incumbent Kelly Loeffler. Loeffler didn't concede when she addressed her supporters overnight, though. Warnock will be Georgia's first black senator. Now the losing candidate can request a recount if the results are within a half a percentage point. However, Warnock's lead is outside the half-point margin. Also keeping an eye on the other Senate race in Georgia. This last race will decide which party holds control over the Senate for the next 2 years. It's between David Perdue and John Ossoff, which is still too close to call as votes are still being counted this morning. Right now, Ossoff is leading by about 16,000 votes and still within that margin of a recount. Most of the remaining ballots come from areas favoring Democrats.
Washington is bracing for shutdown on Capitol Hill today when Congress meets to count Electoral college votes. The electoral vote count is usually a formality, but today more than a dozen Republican senators and roughly 100 House Republicans plan to contest the results from 3 to 6 battleground states. They're supporting President Trump's unsupported claim of widespread voter fraud. It's highly unlikely, though, the opposition will have an impact on the count. Vice President Pence will preside over the largely ceremonial vote count. Now, despite pressure from President Trump, sources say Vice President Mike Pence won't block certification of President-elect Joe Biden's win. These sources say Pence told the president he doesn't have the power to derail the process. That's not the official word from the Trump campaign. They tweeted out a statement from the president saying he and Pence are in total agreement and that Pence has the constitutional authority to decertify the results or send them back to the states. Again, that is not a power that the vice president possesses.
6:10 right now, breaking overnight. We're learning one person is dead after a head-on crash in Rock County. It happened just before 9 last night on Highway 14 just west of Newville Road in Janesville Township. Rock County deputies say both vehicles were only occupied by the drivers. A 55-year-old man of Janesville was pronounced dead at the scene. The other driver, a 63-year-old woman of Janesville, was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Investigators believe the dense fog played a role in the crash, but they are still investigating this morning. We are still dealing with that dense fog out there this morning as we take a look at your first warn traffic maps. Keep that in mind. You will want to give yourself a few extra minutes and also take it slow. Make sure those low beams, those fog lights are on this morning. You are going to need them. It is dicey in some areas. We're starting to see some more brake lights on Highway 51, Stoughton Road near Minota, and also East Washington Avenue near the downtown area, though. On the interstate and the Beltline, we're moving around those posted speed limits, maybe just a little bit below that. There, your drive times as you head out the door and your impacts to your morning commute, giving you the red light over the next couple of hours and things starting to get moving but still slow later on with that dense fog. That's your first warn traffic.
Thanks, Josh. Coming up, why you might need to change your plans for a family movie night soon.
And you can now get your COVID test at home with 2-day shipping. All the details coming up after the break.
It's your last chance for the New Year's mattress deals at Ashley Home Store. Save up to 65% off doorbuster mattresses like these, in stock and available now. Plus, get your choice of free Apple gifts with purchase of select mattresses and free quick ship delivery only at Ashley Home Store.
Do you take daily prescription pain medications, but they don't help enough? Do you want more options to better manage chronic pain? University of Wisconsin-Madison STAMP Study offers free, safe, therapeutic programs to address chronic pain. The programs occur once a week for 8 weeks and pays up to $340. Call 608-212-6902 today. Again, that's 608-212-6902.
The forecast calls for a messy commute. The Ford lineup helps keep you in command. Intelligent four-wheel drive monitors traction, and a terrain management system adapts to road conditions at the turn of a knob, so you're ready to take on the elements with confidence. Power through the storm in a new Ford Explorer, now with 0% financing for 72 months, plus $4,250 bonus cash. See your Wisconsin dealer today.
When it comes to 2020, it's time to wipe the slate clean and get a fresh start now at Herzing University. Earn the degree you need for a lasting career. Herzing is accredited, transfer-friendly, and offers you the personal care and support so important during these times. We'll even waive your enrollment fee. A new year, a new career. You've got a clean slate.
I'm possible at Herzing.
Call or click today.
Get more local news now with Channel 3000 Plus, our free digital streaming service that brings you area news and info 24/7 from the News 3 Now team. Channel 3000 Plus. Download it today and watch from your streaming media player or mobile device. Waking up to stuff like this should never be a surprise. Download the Channel 3000 First Warn app and be ready for whatever Mother Nature throws our way.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out."
It's your last chance for the Ashley Home Store New Year's sale. Shop exclusive deals through Tuesday only, including doorbusters available for immediate pickup and delivery, plus interest-free financing for 5 years, and a bonus 5% discount off our sale prices. Only at Ashley Home Store.
Welcome back to breaking news here in the last few minutes. Kenosha police right now are saying one person is dead after a fatal stabbing. Officers are on the scene right now investigating. Our news partners in Milwaukee say there is no indication that this is related to any protests. We are monitoring the situation, and I'll have an update for you here coming up at 6:30.
That sounds good, Josh. The FBI is investigating the breach of an air traffic control system after a threat to fly a plane into the U.S. Capitol building was broadcast. The plan was said to be revenge for the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. The first anniversary of his death was on Sunday. Sources say the threat doesn't appear to be a credible one, but it is a crime nonetheless to make threats over aviation frequencies.
More than 350,000 people have died from COVID-19 in the U.S., making it likely the third leading cause of death in 2020. Only heart disease and cancer are suspected of killing more people last year. The CDC is still compiling the data and looking at all the numbers to determine the exact total, but based on totals from 2019, the agency does think COVID deaths will rank in the top 3. There are currently new variants of the virus spreading across the world. One originally detected in the United Kingdom, the other now in South Africa. Both strains are said to be more contagious than the main strain of COVID-19, but new data from the WHO says neither of those new strains are more contagious than the other. Neither are believed to be more severe or deadly at this time either.
Those two new variants of the coronavirus are also not likely to make the current vaccines useless. That's the word from multiple experts who spoke on the issue this week. A University of Pennsylvania expert says the human immune response can still deal with their mutations. That's because the immune system makes up a variety of antibodies, so some of them are likely to work. Another expert from the University of Washington posted a study which is yet to be peer-reviewed. It shows that at least some people's antibodies can overcome mutated viruses. You can now take an FDA-authorized COVID-19 test from the comfort of your own home. This coronavirus test kit here is now available on Amazon. The FDA gave emergency use authorization for the dexterity test last month. One kit is currently available for $110. You can get a 10-pack for $1,000. These kits aren't new, but this is the first at-home saliva test to receive the FDA emergency use authorization.
6:18 now. Hattie McLean working from home. How's it looking outside today, Hattie?
Well, pretty cloudy. Can't see much at my house, and likely you're dealing with the same conditions at your house as well. We're still dealing with very foggy conditions this morning across southern Wisconsin. Now, outside of yesterday, we've been kind of stuck in a cloudy pattern, maybe thinking, how long are these clouds going to last? Well, this time of the year, it's not good for us. January 2020, we had 15 days, half of the month with cloudy skies. And all in all, 2020, we had over 100 cloudy days here in Madison. Just 88 days with less than 30% of the sky covered with clouds, and that is considered sunny. So 88 sunny days last year here in Madison. If you're looking for more sun, it's no secret, head southwest. Phoenix and Las Vegas typically have over 200 sunny days per year. Hey, weren't we just talking about Southwest flights yesterday? Here's a look at our visibility this morning. We have quarter-mile visibility in Monroe, and Mineral Point is half-mile right now, as well as Lone Rock. Wisconsin Dells and Juneau are at 0. That dense fog advisory is going to continue this morning.
Addie, thanks for that update. Thank you very much. 6:19 now. Family Video officially shutting down. The video rental store has said it's struggled for years with that rise in streaming and online videos, but the pandemic is the final blow to their business. Family Video started 2020 with more than 500 locations, including some here in Madison. Roughly half of those closed over the last year. The remaining stores will close and hold liquidation sales in the near future. The 63rd Grammy Awards will not be happening later this month as scheduled. The Best in Music show has been postponed. The event had been set for January 31st at the Los Angeles Staples Center with Trevor Noah as this year's host, but it's now being delayed until March 14th. That's because of an increase in COVID cases and hospitalizations in California. This year's top nominees are Beyonce, Roddy Ricch, and Taylor Swift.
6:20 right now, still ahead for us on this Wednesday morning. The best diet to consider to help you with your New Year resolutions.
And coming up in our next half hour, we hear from Jacob Blake and his family after the decision not to charge the officer who shot him. Stay with us.
With a nursing degree, helping others went from a job to a career.
Cobuson Buses, now hiring.
Working with Cobuson, it's definitely been great because of the flexibility. If you do need time off, they work around you. They definitely try to make it a company that's based for you.
Visit Cobuson.com to apply.
This is the big one, folks. The Brothers Maine Everything's on Sale sale. Get huge clearance prices on every brand in the store with 0% financing for up to 18 months. Only Maine delivers more satisfaction every day, like a risk-free 30-day price satisfaction guarantee, giving you 100% confidence in your purchase. How's that for more? The Everything's on Sale sale with more selection, more savings, and more happy homes on everything. Now at the Brothers Maine, your local store for more since 1938.
Dear Winter, I'm coming. My squad of 15 vehicles with all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive is ready to take you on. Safety's the name of my game, so you better bundle up. Toyota.
Right now, get $1,500 customer cash on a new 2021 Highlander Hybrid. Visit Toyota.com to learn more. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Culver's is a family restaurant. To me, that means being the place that puts a smile on everyone's face. We're famous for our cooked-to-order butter burgers and frozen custard made daily inside our restaurants. But we've always believed more menu options mean more ways to brighten your day. We source the finest chicken to bring you our tenders and chicken sandwiches. And our cheese curds. They're a Wisconsin tradition we're proud to share with you. So take the next meal shift off and let us take care of you. Welcome to Delicious.
So, how's saving for the renovation going?
All done.
I will never understand how you do it.
Easy. She saves with BMO Harris. We give you a cash reward for every month you save.
So BMO will give me cash for saving money?
You bet.
Can the subject hold position 2, please?
How's this?
That's art.
That makes saving look good.
When a bank helps you make real financial progress, that's the BMO effect. Get a $5 reward every month you save $200 or more in a new BMO Statement Savings account.
Pick up the latest issue of Madison Magazine for our Top Nurses Tribute, a wake-up call on domestic abuse during COVID, why more locals are saying bye-bye to booze, and exciting new monthly features. Madison Magazine on newsstands now.
Wisconsin weather can be frustrating. Get the latest forecast, alerts, and detailed traffic reports from the News 3 Now team. On air, online, and download the Channel 3000 First Warn app. Be the first to know what's headed our way.
Cobuson Buses, now hiring.
After we backed that bus out of its stall and started driving, I just loved it. We really get a chance to get to know each other. Almost everyone has a different story about how they came to bus driving. So you really end up feeling like you're part of a family.
Visit Cobuson.com to apply.
We are back at 6:23 on a Wednesday morning. Donna sharing this picture with us, loving all of that color. We've had some pretty fantastic shots lately. Donna, thank you very much. What does your morning look like? Send us your pictures with the hashtag MyNews3Morning, and we'll share them around this time every morning. Well, guys, if you're looking to follow a new, healthier eating plan for 2021, here's some news you can use this morning. The Mediterranean diet has been named the best overall diet for the 4th year in a row. The plant-based diet focuses on eliminating or reducing processed foods and centers on fruits, vegetables, beans, lentils, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. Tied for second place, the DASH diet, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, and the Flexitarian diet, which encourages being a flexible vegetarian. Weight Watchers rounds out the top 3 best overall diets. Now, Leah, I know you and I did Whole30 last January. We're kind of doing our own modified version of that this year. I know I'm cutting out all the added sugar. I'm also trying to cut back on my dairy, and that's kind of it. Oh, I guess I'm also not drinking alcohol, too, so that's kind of a big deal. Leah, what are you doing this January?
So we are also, Zach and I are also doing dry January, cutting out that signature old-fashioned of mine. I could never cut out dairy. Even when we tried Whole30, I was still like, I'm having milk and cheese. That is not going anywhere. But we are trying, I'm trying to be less about the restrictive diet this year and more about just getting outside and moving my body. So Josh and I have that challenge on social media. If you want to join us, shameless plug right here, post a picture of you moving. Chris, you could take a walk, post a picture.
Sure, yeah. It was great yesterday to get outside. Boy, it was nice and warm and sunny. Got the kids out and played in the snow.
Aww.
So much fun, yeah. But Hattie, that sunshine, that was basically our last sign of it for at least a little while, huh?
I know. Glad you got to get outside and soak some of it up because we really don't have a lot of sunshine in the forecast, unfortunately. Take a look. Here's our pet walk forecast. Starting with this guy, because a lot of times I run out of time, so I don't get to show our cute pets. But this is Oliver in Monroe. Probably not headed outside for a pet walk today, but 29 degrees is the high with cloudy skies later on this afternoon. We are dealing with fog this morning. That dense fog advisory continues until 9 o'clock for all of southern Wisconsin, 10 o'clock for northern Illinois. Our current visibilities are less than a mile in many spots this morning. In fact, near zero up to the north. We'll be right back after the break.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
At Papa Murphy's, we make fresh pizza that you bake at home. Because home is where the fun is. Right now, get the Herb Chicken Mediterranean Pizza for just $9. Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
The forecast calls for a messy commute. The Ford lineup helps keep you in command. Intelligent four-wheel drive monitors traction, and a terrain management system adapts to road conditions at the turn of a knob. So you're ready to take on the elements with confidence. Power through the storm in a new Ford Explorer, now with 0% financing for 72 months, plus $4,250 bonus cash. See your Wisconsin dealer today.
Love lower than low prices? Then get more ways to save at Pick and Save, where you can find personalized coupons, weekly deals, and rewards like fuel points. All for prices that are lower than low. On food that's fresher than fresh. Pick and Save. Fresh for everyone.
Millions of customers are leaving their providers and switching to Spectrum. And if you have satellite, it's not hard to see why. Because unlike satellite, Spectrum gives you all the services you need, like internet and TV from one provider.
They do?
Yeah, they do. And Spectrum has the fastest download speeds with the most reliable performance. Get Spectrum Internet with speeds at 200 megabits for $44.99 a month. Call 833-909-4499. Spectrum wins on TV, too. Unlike satellite, Spectrum doesn't have an ugly dish to install. And you get exclusive premium original content with Spectrum Originals.
Wow, really?
Really. Plus, Spectrum has more free HD and free on demand. Get Spectrum TV from $44.99 a month. Call 833-909-4499. And unlike satellite providers, Spectrum doesn't have contracts or early termination fees. We'll even buy out your current contract up to $500. Switch to America's fastest growing internet, TV, and voice provider. Get Spectrum Internet and TV from $44.99 a month each. Ask about our easy self-install options. Call 833-909-4499.
At News 3 Now, we've been asking antenna viewers to rescan TVs in order to receive our boosted broadcast signal. If you're still experiencing problems after rescanning, you may need to install a UHF-VHF combined antenna. For more information, please go to channel3000.com.
When we hear a big storm's headed our way, some of us fall back into bed, some into fresh powder. Spending your day indoors or out, it's all about knowing what to expect. Watch News 3 Now for an accurate first warn forecast so you can plan your perfect day.
We're going to unite our people from coast to coast until we get justice.
Demanding change. We're tracking new reactions overnight after the Kenosha County DA's decision in the Jacob Blake shooting.
Reopening schools, where Madison's teachers union stands, and what they'd like to see before it happens.
This is News 3 Now this morning.
This is a slap in the face by Wisconsin government and the DA and etc. That it's happening, what has happened has perpetuated systemic racism.
Good morning, everyone. You just heard some of the Blake family's reaction to the DA's decision not to charge Officer Rustin Sheskey. Sheskey, you will remember, shot Jacob Blake 7 times while responding to a domestic dispute in Kenosha back in August.
District Attorney Michael Gravely says he will not file charges against Officer Sheskey or Blake. The Department of Justice says officers had responded to a report of a domestic incident, and when they got there, officers say they tried to use a taser on Blake, which didn't affect him. Blake then walked around to a car and opened the door, leaning forward. That's when Sheskey grabbed Blake's shirt and shot him 7 times. 2 officers reported seeing a knife on Blake before this happened. According to the DA, Officer Sheskey said he shot Blake until he saw he'd drop the knife. That use of force is allowed under police policies. While Sheskey won't face criminal charges, he is still on administrative leave with the Kenosha Police Department. Now, we haven't heard from Jacob Blake since the DA announced his decision, but we do know what he told investigators in the days just after the shooting. His interview is part of the DOJ's report, which is hundreds of pages long. It reveals some important details about what officers and Blake say about that knife. Sheskey told investigators he saw Blake jab the knife in his direction just before he started shooting. Blake says it didn't happen that way.
When I got in the car, it was getting thrown.
Oh, so you intended to throw it?
Not at the cops.
Okay, you were just going to throw it?
To my car.
Now, there is a great deal of information in these reports from the DOJ. We have more complete coverage online right now, including why prosecutors say they aren't charging anyone involved, what police knew about Blake before the August shooting, and why they believe this was a domestic incident.
A former Madison police chief is part of the investigation. Attorney General Josh Kaul turned over files to Noble Ray, who acted as an outside consultant. He provided an analysis of the findings to the DA. He says he had problems with what he saw when he first watched that video, but after digging deeper, he thought the officers did everything they could to defuse the situation. He says it's unfortunate that deadly use had to be used.
A gun is a very destructive tool. We've got to come up with better tools, better strategies, and better ways of being able to address incidents when our goal is to stop someone.
District Attorney Gravely says he feels hiring an independent reviewer was unprecedented in the state for this kind of incident. Protesters, meanwhile, do plan to return tonight in Kenosha after a quiet and early evening last night. A group in support of the Blake family marched throughout the city, stopping near the Public Safety Building and the courthouse. Some talked with the National Guard members stationed outside. Community organizers have been pushing to keep things nonviolent there. In Madison, only a small number of cars drove around the Capitol honking and chanting. Madison police say they are prepared for anything that might happen. Now, reaction across the country hasn't been quite as quiet. Take a look at this new video in overnight out of Portland. More than 100 people set dumpsters on fire there, throwing water bottles and blocking streets overnight. They say they're standing in solidarity with Kenosha over the Blake decision. Portland police warned protesters who weren't complying with orders that they could be arrested.
An update to breaking news we've been closely watching this morning. Within the last 15 minutes, we've learned a second person has been stabbed to death in Kenosha. Police say they've arrested one person in connection. Our news partners in Milwaukee say there's no indication that this is related to any of the protests there. We are monitoring the situation and we'll bring you any updates as we get them. Also developing right now, a lot of reactions pouring in this morning relating to the Jacob Blake decision, especially on Twitter. This is one of them. Former Marquette basketball player and NBA star Dwayne Wade tweeted this out overnight, showing solidarity with the Marquette basketball team. Players wore black uniforms before their game last night to support the Blake family, saying they're extremely disappointed in the decision. We'll have more reaction from Governor Evers and the head of the Wisconsin Professional Police Association coming up in the morning sprint.
While no criminal charges are being filed, the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Wisconsin says a civil rights investigation is still happening. It launched the investigation 3 days after the shooting. The office didn't say when a possible charging decision in that case could be made. Be sure to stick with Channel 3000 as we continue to track this developing situation. We have the DOJ's report in its entirety up right now at channel3000.com and on the Channel 3000 mobile app.
6:34 right now, breaking overnight. The Democrats are one seat away from having control of the Senate. The Associated Press reports this morning and projecting Democrat Raphael Warnock as the winner of one of the two runoff races in Georgia. He will be the first black senator elected in that state. Warnock beat Republican incumbent Senator Kelly Loeffler. He has served as a pastor for the same church where civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. grew up and preached. Loeffler has not conceded. Control of the Senate now hinges on the race between Democrat John Ossoff and Republican David Perdue. That race still too close to call this morning, but within the last hour, Ossoff's lead has grown by 0.1%. Some mail-in and in-person ballots still have to be counted, but the majority of those are in Democratic-leaning counties. Under Georgia law, a trailing candidate can request a recount if the margin is less than or equal to 0.5%. Right now, Ossoff is holding a slim lead within that margin.
Lawmakers will meet in a joint session on Capitol Hill today to count the votes of the Electoral College. Senator Ron Johnson has acknowledged President-elect Biden's win in Wisconsin, but he still plans to disregard those results and formally object to the count. About a dozen other Republican senators and more than 100 GOP House members plan to join him. The Electoral College certified Biden's win last month. Vice President Pence will preside over the largely ceremonial vote. President Trump had been pressuring him to block Biden's win, but CNN reports Pence has told the president he does not have the authority to do that. President Trump insists that conversation never happened. The president is expected to speak in D.C. ahead of that count. 6:36 now. Let's turn it over to Hattie McLean and our first warn weather. Hey there, Hats.
Good morning, Leah. We're starting off with fog once again across southern Wisconsin. A dense fog advisory today is in effect for all of the area until 9 o'clock this morning. Well, the National Weather Service hinting that they may need to extend that time as the fog is going to be pretty slow to lift today. Here's a look at current visibility. Down to 3/4 of a mile here in Madison, the same in the Dells. About a half-mile visibility in Mineral Point and Lone Rock. 0 visibility in Juneau this morning. Here's a look at our temperatures as well. You combine that fog with temperatures below freezing and any untreated surfaces, especially elevated surfaces like bridges or overpasses, they may become pretty slippery this morning. Temperatures are in the teens in most spots. Now, outside of yesterday, we've had a pretty cloudy stretch of weather here as we started 2021. What is going on? Why won't these clouds clear? Well, we have a low-level inversion. Typically, as you go up in the atmosphere, temperatures cool, but right now there's a layer of warm air suspended above the surface, just a little bit, and that is actually trapping the saturated air in the boundary layer. So that air close to the surface is trapped. It can't escape, and that's why we have these low clouds and fog in the area. Also, we don't really have much in the way of low-level winds to really direct any of that air in or out of the region, so it just stays put, and we are stuck in this weather rut, you may say. Weak low-level winds are expected to continue for the next couple of days, so no major changes are expected in the forecast. Here's a look at Weather Track this morning. Just cloudy skies here, but to the west, there is some snow and even some rain on the map. That precipitation is not expected to move into southern Wisconsin. It'll slide southeast. So our forecast for today calls for that fog to slowly lift this morning, but just clouds this afternoon. Temperatures will be climbing back into the 20s today. Our highs should reach the upper 20s this afternoon with mostly cloudy skies. At least winds will stay light though, so there won't be any wind chill. Here's a look at your extended forecast. Temperatures stay pretty similar going forward. No big changes here or there. We do deal with fog, though, both tomorrow morning and Friday morning. So we'll close out the week just like we started it.
Tough to see out there in some spots this morning. Be careful. Thanks, Addie. A big decision coming later this week for Madison schools that have been shut down since last spring. So this morning, we're taking a closer look at bringing kids, teachers, and support staff back inside buildings. Taylor Lazenby has been looking into both sides of the issue that people feel very passionately about. Good morning, Taylor.
Good morning, Chris. That's right. The parents that I've spoken with have said that the new implements going in place are good to reopen, but they just aren't good enough. Now, many other districts are currently planning phased reopenings that will bring some students back next month and others in February and later in March. So what does the science say? Well, there's still a lot that's unknown about how the virus impacts our children. The World Health Organization's data suggests that the spread of the virus in schools could be limited, but that's only if techniques like mask wearing and social distancing are in place. This is what parents like Joshua Russo are using to push schools to reopen.
In this classroom, getting down to 3 feet, and then getting the schools to actually open. And they've now been given the permission to open, but that doesn't mean they're all actually opening or fully opening for specific grades. So.
But some studies have shown spread increases with age, meaning secondary school students are at a higher risk to get and spread the disease. Though it's still seemingly below that of adults, staff are just as likely to contract the virus, and many teachers fall into that higher risk categories for developing serious complications. Now, while data collecting isn't consistent across the state of Wisconsin, some sources are indicating potentially troubling signs for staff members. So to get more information on the reopening process for schools, you can log on to our website. That's at channel3000.com.
All right, Taylor, thank you. Now, considering the risks of opening these schools back up, we're asking, are teachers and support staff ready to come back? Well, that's another question entirely. The Madison Teachers Union, MTI, has a list of expectations for their members to return. Of note, they want to only return to the classroom if metrics are met that are approved by science and health professionals. Any in-person work would have to be voluntary. They also want hazard pay for anyone working in person. A recent union survey found that 95% of teachers were not ready to come back. Madison Schools has responded to the union's list of expectations, saying MFSD is proud of our partnership with MCI and has worked very collaboratively to plan and prepare for these decisions. The superintendent for MMSD will announce his plan for the rest of the semester Friday afternoon. In Chicago, some teachers there are opting to work outside of their school building because they didn't feel safe. These are teachers who had to return to their classrooms Monday. The teachers union there in Chicago says some of its members chose not to return at all in defiance of the district's reopening plans.
Assembly Republicans are moving quickly on a new COVID relief bill in hopes of passing it by Friday. The legislation would give the Joint Finance Committee power to pull money to help with the pandemic. It would also limit local health departments to 14-day business closures, though they could be renewed. School districts would also be required to vote every 2 weeks if they chose to go virtual. Democrats didn't show up for testimony yesterday. They said their request to participate virtually had been denied. Now, here's a look at Wisconsin's most up-to-date COVID numbers. Positivity rates are climbing right now. More than 27,000 people have active cases of the virus. COVID has killed more than 5,000 Wisconsinites.
6:42 right now. Let's take a look at your first warn traffic. We are dealing with that dense fog advisory out there this morning, so give yourself some extra time, some extra space on the roads. It is going to be hard to see, probably a lot harder than what you experienced yesterday. As you head out the door, make sure to stay visible. You do have those headlights on. Again, I'm always surprised how many people do not have their low beams or their fog lights on in the morning. Protect yourself and others. Please do that. Across southern Wisconsin, we're not seeing any major issues out there. Still pretty early right now, just a couple of brake lights in and around the downtown area, but our drive times right now around those posted speeds, maybe just a couple of ticks below the speed limit. That's your first warn traffic. Live look outside right now, that dense fog advisory underway, and Hattie says we're going to be stuck in the clouds. She'll have her first warn forecast coming up.
And winters in the Midwest sure are beautiful, but they can also make our lives a little more interesting, to say the least. We'll share an experience I think we can all relate to that's coming up after the break.
With Herzing University's Everywhere Classroom, you can earn a degree in today's hottest fields online. For a limited time, we'll waive your enrollment fee. See what your career can turn into. I'm possible at Herzing. Call or click today.
Wisconsin weather can be frustrating. Get the latest forecast, alerts, and detailed traffic reports from the News 3 Now team. Download the Channel 3000 Firstborn app, sponsored by Group Health Cooperative, and be prepared for anything headed our way.
Looking to update your flooring? Surgenians has you covered. Our experienced salespeople will guide you through the area's largest flooring selection so you can make the best decision. And Surgenians' reliable craftsmen ensure your flooring's installed right. Local, sustainable Surgenians.
I want a client who comes in to feel comfortable and to know that their case is in good hands so they can relax and get on with their life as best as they can and let me do the fighting for them. That's how I want them to feel.
Gingras, Thompson & Walks.
Is your credit score getting in the way of things you want to do? Personal loans through NetCredit help you borrow up to $10,000. So check your eligibility on netcredit.com today without affecting your credit score. You may even be able to build your credit history as you repay. NetCredit, a more personal loan.
Now through January 7th, join Planet Fitness for no enrollment. $10 a month, no commitment. 2020 is over. Start 2021 with tons of ways to get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. And spread out while you work out with cardio distancing and our new crowd meter. Plus, use our app to get moving anywhere. Your fitness is essential, so kick things off with the year's best deal. Join for no enrollment, $10 a month, no commitment. Deal ends January 7th.
5 Madison area locations. Sign up for $10 a month. Stop in today.
Accurate news as it happens.
We want to make sure our vaccination sites are ready.
Right here, where you live.
Nearly half of Dane County's total COVID deaths have come in the last month.
Information that you can use.
These case counts are still testing our public health system and straining our hospital system.
From the team you can trust.
So many generous people are willing to help us.
For more local stories that impact your life, News 3 Now.
Wipe the slate clean for 2020 and start on a lasting career at Herzing University. We'll even waive your enrollment fee. A new year, a new career. It's possible. I'm possible at Herzing. Call or click today.
On the next Live Before, Lisa Briggs of the Bruce Company takes your plant and garden questions, and we'll have complete coverage and analysis of the Electoral college count taking place under the Capitol Dome.
A sewer backup destroys a Janesville woman's basement.
This isn't my fault. I didn't cause the damage.
But the city says they're not liable either. Why this disabled vet is afraid she'll lose her home. Could it happen to you? News 3 Now investigates. Thursday at 10.
Living in the Midwest comes with a lot of perks, but filling up the car in the middle of the winter might not be one of them. I found this meme circulating around my social media. I think it's something we all can relate with the fact that there are too many questions to answer when you're freezing outside. Yes. The meme shows the gas pump asking, credit or debit? Are you a member? Would you like to be? Select fuel grade. How about a free car wash? You sure? Did I do something wrong? Would you like a receipt? Obviously a stretch on some of those questions, but it feels too accurate. Chris, I was just out in kind of the cruddy weather the other day, and I just wanted to get back into my vehicle. It's just unbelievable, the questions they ask.
It's like they have a new one every time I go to the gas station. We're just so impatient these days, aren't we? We can't, like, even that couple extra seconds of them asking a question, it's just too much. Keep it in check, gas stations. Here's your warning. All right, good thing it hasn't been too terribly cold out there, Hattie McLean. We've been experiencing some pretty mild conditions lately.
Yeah, we are. We've been lucky temperature-wise across southern Wisconsin. Not so lucky with the clouds, though. The dense fog has returned overnight, and a dense fog advisory continues for all of southern Wisconsin until 9 o'clock this morning. Here's your latest on the visibility map. These numbers have been changing every 15 minutes or so, but most areas in south central Wisconsin have visibility less than a mile at this time. And of course, temperatures are below freezing, so be careful. There may be some slippery spots on the roads. Temps will climb back into the upper 20s later today.
Thanks, Hattie. Stick around. The morning sprint is next.
But first, it's January 6th.
But first,
we
it
want
is
to say happy
January
birthday
6th.
to Greta and all the kids turning 3 today. Happy birthday, Greta. Josh thinks so, too. Have a great one.
Look Who's 3 is sponsored by Three Bears Resort, Indoor Water Park and Conference Center in Warrens, Wisconsin.
Hey, Tom.
Sheila. Hey, don't take losing the Anderson business personally.
I resigned it, Tom. I guess they didn't tell you about their opossum problem.
I thought it was pronounced possum.
I'm a little old to count down the days, but my ski trip to Cascade Mountain with my cousin each year, so much fun. We used to pretend like we were flying. Now, we really do. My dad and my uncle like that we still ski free. But Noah and I, we just have fun. See you there.
He has his grandfather's smile.
Her mother's eyes.
My cheekbones.
But will she have my diabetes?
My sickle cell anemia.
His father's heart disease.
Go to joinallofus.org to share your health information and speed up health research breakthroughs. The future of health begins with you.
Have you heard? Tempur-Pedic sleep is better sleep. With innovative memory foam developed by NASA, Tempur-Pedic mattresses reduce motion transfer, which means less tossing and turning so you can sleep undisturbed through the night. But which Tempur-Pedic is right for you? Come to Denver Mattress and test for yourself. Let our expert sales staff guide you to your perfect Tempur-Pedic. And right now, get a free Furniture Row gift certificate when you purchase any Tempur-Pedic. Shop Denver Mattress today, your Tempur-Pedic elite retailer.
So I can get the latest phones free with no hidden requirements?
Yep, all season long.
And do I have to get the most expensive plan?
Nope, no plan restrictions.
Okay, but we have to trade in our phones.
Right?
Right?
Nope, keep your phones.
Did you say free phones?
Yep, the latest phone's free for you.
Okay, in.
Switch to U.S. Cellular and get the latest phones free, available all season long with no hidden requirements. U.S. Cellular, upgrade to fair.
Wisconsin weather can be frustrating. Get the latest forecast, alerts, and detailed traffic reports from the News 3 Now team. On air, online, and download the Channel 3000 First Warn app. Be the first to know what's headed our way. Away from your TV? Not a problem. Get breaking news, weather alerts, and political coverage from the award-winning News 3 Now team. Plus, all things Madison. Stay connected anywhere with Channel 3000, Madison's #1 digital news source. Better? Join us on News 3 Now at 6 and 10.
6:51, time for the morning sprint.
There will be no criminal charges filed against the officer who shot Jacob Blake. The Department of Justice says officers were responding to a report of a domestic incident. When they got there, Blake was holding a knife and resisting arrest. Police say they tried to use a taser on him, but it didn't affect him. Blake then walked around to a car and opened the door. That's when Officer Rustin Shesky grabbed Blake's shirt and shot him 7 times. Officer Shesky told investigators he continued to shoot until Blake dropped the knife.
This is a slap in the face.
That's how the Blake family is reacting to the DA's decision this morning. They are encouraging people to show up and demand justice peacefully, not only for Blake, but for others who have been shot by police.
Protesters plan to return to Kenosha tonight after a quiet and early evening yesterday. A group of supporters for the family of Jacob Blake marched through the city, stopping near the public safety building and courthouse. In Madison, only a small number of cars drove around the Capitol, honking and chanting. Madison police say they're prepared, though, for anything that might happen. Reaction across the country hasn't been as quiet. Take a look at this new video in from Portland, Oregon overnight. More than 100 people set dumpsters on fire, threw water bottles, and blocked streets. They say they're standing in solidarity with Kenosha over the Blake decision. Portland police warned protesters who weren't complying with orders that they could be arrested.
An update to breaking news. Within the last 30 minutes, we've learned a second person has been stabbed to death in Kenosha. Police say they've arrested one person in connection. Our news partners in Milwaukee say there is no indication that this is related to any protests there. We are monitoring the situation and we'll bring you updates on the Channel 3000 mobile app. Developing right now, leaders are reacting to the decision online as well in Kenosha. Governor Evers says elected officials didn't rise to the occasion. He says they took no action to provide common sense reform and enhance accountability. Evers says the decision is further evidence that the work is not done. He says he's committed to continuing to fight racism and promote peace and justice for Jacob and Kenosha. The head of Wisconsin's Professional Police Association has a different reaction. Jim Palmer says the case should serve as a cautionary tale of the dangers of passing judgment without having all the facts.
Lawmakers will meet in a joint session on Capitol Hill today to count the votes of the Electoral College. Senator Ron Johnson has acknowledged President-elect Biden's win in Wisconsin, but still plans to disregard those results and formally object to the count. About a dozen other Republican senators and more than 100 GOP House members plan to join him. The Electoral College certified Biden's win last month.
Breaking overnight, the Democrats are one seat away from having control of the Senate. The Associated Press projects Democrat Raphael Warnock as the winner of one of the two runoff races in Georgia. He will be the first black senator elected in that state. Warnock beat Republican incumbent Senator Kelly Loeffler. She has not conceded. Control of the Senate now hinges on the race between Democrat John Ossoff and Republican David Perdue. That race is still too close to call this morning, but within the last 2 hours, Ossoff's lead has grown by 0.1%. Some mail-in and in-person ballots still need to be counted, but the majority of those are in Democratic-leaning counties. Under Georgia law, a trailing candidate can request a recount if the margin is less than or equal to 0.5 percentage. Right now, Ossoff is holding a slim lead within that margin.
New this morning, the Madison City Council will implement new requirements to charge electric vehicles. The ordinance requires at least 10% of newly constructed parking to be electric ready. It also includes a schedule to increase the percentage of electric ready and electric installed parking every 5 years.
Final look at traffic at 6:55 this morning. We do have that dense fog advisory underway, so we do have a few slowdowns out there on East Washington Avenue. You can see some brake lights. There's your drive times as you head out the door. We're moving just a little bit below that speed limit in most areas this morning. Your main impacts are going to be over the next couple of hours when that dense fog advisory is underway. That's your First Warn traffic.
And a live look from our Queen Bee Radio Sky Camera in Platteville. Still some thick fog in the Platteville area this morning. Visibility is 4 miles there, but it drops to 3/4 of a mile in Mineral Point, just a half a mile here in Madison, and 0 in Juneau. Remember that dense fog advisory continues for all areas this morning until 9 o'clock. High temperatures will reach the upper 20s.
Thanks, Hattie. And thanks, folks, for joining.